Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's our Thursday tea and toast. Hope everyone is doing well this morning. Look, there's loads of us today. What a lovely surprise. We've got a few familiar faces and a few not so familiar faces. So let me just go around and introduce you all. So there's obviously myself and Georgia. We are conversation starters at the Yard. And as you know, we like to remind you at all times, although the doors are shut at the Yard at the moment, we are still open. We've transferred our whole programme over online. So you'll be seeing different members of the team throughout the day on all our social media. So please get involved in what you fancy doing with us. So let's have a look who we've got. So we've got our lovely volunteer, Laurel. Good morning, Laurel.
Hey.
You doing okay this morning?
I am. You?
Good. Yes, I'm all right, thank you. And then we've got the lovely Khadija and Pell. So these are our lovely placement students who are with us for a while. Good morning, ladies. Are you both okay?
Morning. Yes, thank you.
Good. And then top right, top right by me. I don't know. We've got
it's top right.
It's top right for me.
Cara Mel Latte. Now look at that. I mean, when we just came online before, Georgia and I felt very underdressed. We're like, how amazing is the makeup? And we'll be chatting all about all of that in a bit. And then also we've got Bill from the Lowdown. Good morning.
Morning, Jasmin.
How are you doing? All right?
Yeah, I'm feeling really great, thank you.
Good. So yeah, quite a few of us this morning, which is going to make for an interesting conversation, I think. So Pell, what have you got for us?
Yeah, so this morning, I'm just going to ask you guys what your internal weather is. So today, mine is sunny, but it's a bit windy because I literally woke up 5 minutes ago. I had like 10 alarms and I decided to wake up at my last one and I was like, oh my God, and I was like running around. So yeah,
you woke up later than I did. Wow.
Yeah. All right, how about you, Jasmin? How's your internal weather?
I'm sunny, but I've got like a little bit of a cloud there as well. A little bit of wind going on. A bit of a stressful morning, but like I said yesterday, as soon as I get online with you guys and see all of you, it always makes me feel a bit calmer, a bit happier. So I'm sunshine with a bit of cloud today, which is not bad.
Hopefully the cloud will go away soon.
It's just going to get sunnier and sunnier and sunnier.
Yeah. How about you, Georgia?
It is going to shock you to your very cores to learn that I am, as always, a sparkly rainbow.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, bringing it to you every day. So you're welcome.
Will there ever be a day when Georgia's not a rainbow? Because this is not normal for someone to be so happy all the time.
Tune in to find out, guys. Every week, every Wednesday and Thursday. Will I ever be a tornado? Tune in and find out.
I can't see that happening myself, but yeah, let's watch this space.
How about you, Miss Caramel Latte? How is your internal weather?
My internal weather's great, if I'm honest. Probably a bit of wind, but that's nothing to do with the weather, I don't think. My weather is very sunny today. There was a bit of wind earlier because I was, like yourself, Pab, running around to get ready. But apart from that, it's been great. A sunny day today.
Love that. Great. Thank you. Laurel, how's your internal weather?
Mine's a bit cloudy this morning. Woke up in a bit of a funk of, I've got to get up today. But at least I have Jasmin going. At least I come on and I feel better when I see you. So that's what I'm hoping that will happen.
Yeah,
that
it's
some of that
happen,
cloud will dissipate.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. Thank you. Khadija, how's yours?
My day has been great so far, so I'd say I'm sunny as well today, and a bit of rainbow too.
Oh,
Ooh.
This is new.
Yeah.
Thank you. How about you, Bill?
Probably kind of like the actual weather we've got outside, so kind of like wispy clouds, but like bits of blue sky peeping through and a nice sunny sun. So how I normally feel, so sunny but with a bit of clouds.
Oh, okay. Hopefully the clouds go throughout the day.
Yeah, I reckon they will. So, to be fair, we're all pretty feeling okay today, aren't we?
Yeah.
I always feel like Thursday, it's almost the end of the week, then comes the weekend, party time, or not so much at the moment. But yeah, it's always good for the weekend, isn't it? So before we kick off on our topic of the day, let's just have a quick chat. There's so much going on in the news at the moment. And for those of you that were watching us yesterday, obviously the big news was the roadmap that Boris set out for us all on Monday. And we started sort of talking about that. So I thought we'd carry on because there was a few bits of that we just didn't get to talk about. So guys, what are your views on this COVID vaccine passport? So has anyone booked a holiday? Do any of you feel like you're going to go away? Do you think the passport's a good thing? What are you guys thinking?
What's this? I don't even think I know what you're talking about.
Well, they're saying, aren't they, that apparently you're going to need a vaccine document, or they're calling it the vaccine passport, to be able to travel aboard. So obviously, the younger you are, the less chance you're probably going away this year, because we're going to be, I say we, I'm not young. I don't know why I'm classing myself in that bracket, actually.
Oh, you are.
You
young.
You young'uns are going to be the ones who probably, well, you are going to be sort of last of the list. So do you think that's the way it's going to go? Is it going to be, we all need this document to be travelling, or has anyone actually booked anything and going to risk it?
So is it like a passport, so you can basically say, I've had the COVID vaccine, so therefore I can go on holiday?
Yeah, they're saying like the airlines will ask for a copy of the document. So I don't think you'll be able to like book your flight or something like that until you can produce this document. And that's the only way you'll get to go away.
I mean, it's probably a positive thing because, well, in terms of everyone should be vaccinated if they can be. And obviously it'll be safer the more people are vaccinated. But you're right, not everyone's going to be vaccinated at the same time. And I don't think we should be letting people go abroad, at least, until, the majority of the country is vaccinated. Because, I mean, we've got these variants that is going to be a problem as well. And we don't know if the vaccine is going to stop them as much as the original one.
Well, I guess that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, it's kind of a bit, because I'm hearing this like fresh today, so I actually didn't know this. So
I can't believe you've not heard this.
So I live
Where have you been?
A hovel. I'm like a hobbit, I just live in one of them.
I am a hobbit.
Exactly. So what I was going to say, it's kind of a bit two-sided for me, because on the one hand I'm thinking, okay, so it kind of gives people that bit of hope that we're starting to look at the end, the light at the end of the tunnel. We'll be getting out of this at some point positive. The other side of me thinks, what? Like, surely this is a bit too premature to start talking about. It's going to encourage
holidays and everything.
We're not even allowed to go into other places in this country. Why are we thinking about going to other countries?
I can't go to Gift a Gift on the high street. So
people will be disappointed.
I'm not going to be booking a holiday to Singapore, am I?
No. But see, the thing is, I guess that so I've got a holiday booked for end of July, beginning of August, but it's actually a holiday that's, sorry, we've just had Zach join us from Q Space. Good morning, Zach.
Morning. Sorry.
No problem. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
No problem, not at all. We're just actually, we haven't even started our topic of the day. We're just sort of dissecting a bit of the COVID stuff, and we're talking about the vaccine passports they're talking about. So I was just saying, so my holiday is booked for the end of July. We're supposed to be going to the south of France, but this is a holiday that was cancelled last year. So now it's been put to this year. So I think a lot of people are in that position that obviously it all got cancelled last year. It's been moved over to this year. And I'm wavering between one day I'm thinking we're definitely not going, it's not going to happen, and then the next day I'm like, no, everyone's going to be vaccinated by the end of July, I'm going to have my vaccination, I'm going to be allowed to go. It's just a funny odd thing. I mean, the other thing I've heard is that when they open pubs inside, you may be required to prove that you've been vaccinated before you can go into a pub. How true that is, I don't know. I mean, so that all the over 65s are going to be in the pub, and all the youngers are going to be sat at home.
I think another thing to do with this vaccination passport, is, and I'm purely looking from the kind of performers side of things, that I know a lot of performers that do like overnight flights into a different country, do a gig, and then they're flying back the next day. Like, that's not going to work. A lot of resorts abroad are going to lose out on their English acts if people can't just fly. Like, so yeah, I think yes, it's a good idea, but okay, then get more people vaccinated quicker if they're going to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, there's this whole like other sort of side of this, isn't there? I mean, we're talking about it, or at least I am, from a completely I don't even know what the right word is, like civilian perspective. But obviously, we've got people like Miss Caramel Latte who might want to jet off to Spain to do some performances and stuff, and who are sort of losing out on potential income because the whole thing is people pay to go and see Miss Caramel perform. So if they can't do that, then that's a loss of income. So then where's the support for that, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, I guess, with this whole pandemic and everything that's going on, is that there's so many people losing out on income that haven't actually been supported by the government. There's been so many different industries that have actually slipped through the net, hasn't there? Which I think sort of the performer entertainment industry is probably one of the, most severely hit, from what I understand. But yeah, I guess the other thing that what I saw on the news this morning is how the A-level and GCSEs are going to work this year. So last year they decided to do the algorithm, didn't they? And it was an absolute complete disaster. And now they've said this year the teachers are going to decide on the grades. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think that's a fair way of doing it?
I'm actually a teacher, so I've seen this from the inside. Yeah, I was supply teaching for September and October, and
oh wow.
Yeah, for that whole from September until the school closed, I was cover teaching. So I was actually going around different schools, which I'm not sure how that was allowed to happen in terms of COVID security, but whatever.
It did.
But it did. And as a cover teacher, you tend to I realised that a lot of these kids weren't having their regular teachers, and they need their specialist science teachers and their specialist math teachers and specialist English teachers. And I was just this person turning up trying to go over stuff that realistically I don't really don't know as much about as their actual teachers that is their specialist subject. I'm a music teacher, so it was the kids haven't had their teachers there, and obviously the kids that are in year 11 this year weren't in school last year for year 10, so they've missed entirely out on their whole GCSE. So if they weren't isolating themselves, the teachers were isolating, or they had health problems, and schools aren't able to get specialist teachers in to replace that specialist permanent teacher. And the kids really haven't had a good time this year in terms of teaching.
It's really been quite detrimental to them, to their education, hasn't it? Like you say, especially the ones doing the GCSEs and the A levels and whatnot. I guess it's a difficult one, because if their teachers don't decide it, what do? We don't want them to miss out on gaining anything. And although I keep hearing people say, well, just let them repeat the year. Could you imagine the chaos, the carnage of every child repeating a year? It's just, I personally just don't think that could happen. I mean, my kids are 10 and 7. So my son finds out on Monday what secondary school he's going to. So imagine all these year 6s, well, you're going to secondary school. Oh, actually, no, you're not. You're going to stay at primary for another year. It's just not feasible.
But then what do you do with the new reception year as well? Yeah. Do you have a double reception year?
Yeah.
What happens there?
Absolutely.
I think
two of my younger sisters are 14 and 16, so they're literally right in the thick of it in this, and both of them have just kind of given up a bit on school. They both, well, at least one of them really enjoyed school, and would deliberately go into school even if she wasn't feeling very good, because she enjoyed being there and all of that. So now she's getting really demotivated because she doesn't really know what's going on. The other one's like just kicking off and not doing anything at all. And yeah, I was just thinking that from the side of two teenagers, it's like the chaos is just creating more chaos, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, sorry, Miss Caramel.
No, I was just thinking like doing GCSEs back at when I was secondary school, or George, and you'll know about this because we were at the same school, bless us. The hall was the halls are such big halls. I don't see why they can't maybe do it. I don't know how each school works because it could be different, but most school years have kind of 2 parts to each year. So why not do them in the 2 parts of each year? I know that's potentially like spreading the COVID, but it only takes half an hour to wipe down a whole room if needs be for the next lot of people to then come in, and just do it by allocated time slots. I really do think that kids missing out on exams is quite crucial.
I mean, they are really stressed from I mean, Zach, I don't know if you're getting the same thing from your young people at Q Space, but it is just really stressing them out that they can't take their exams, but also they haven't learned the material to do their exams. But you are really right. Some schools don't have the space for it. At one school I was working at, the corridors were literally crowded, and I was kind of waiting because I wanted to social distance, and another teacher just told me you just have to shove through. Which is like
brilliant.
great, thank you.
Great.
Very safe.
That's great. Very safe.
Whereas in another school, there was enough space to split each year group into different sections of the school, and they would stay in their classrooms, and the teachers would move around, which is a lot more safe, rather than like hundreds of kids moving around. But you are right, a lot of schools just don't have the space to be able to like segregate different parts of it.
Yeah. Pal, what did you want to say?
My brother is doing his GCSEs this year, unfortunately, and I think like the whole teachers giving students a grade is really unfair, because throughout my brother's high school year, he started off as being this cheeky boy, and like slowly he became more mature, but to some teachers he's still seen as this naughty boy. So they kind of have this opinion on my brother where they don't really like him that much. So I feel like some teachers can be a bit when it comes to giving students a grade.
No, favouritism.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I heard today that's how they're going to do it. The first thought that went into my head was, well, what if you don't get on with your teacher? What if you don't have a good relationship with that teacher who's then going to be grading you? Because regardless of what people say, teachers do have their favourites. They do.
Yeah.
And some are more some show it more than others, but they do. And if you're unfortunately one of them ones that school isn't your thing, but perhaps you've tried your best, are you then going to be, unfavourably graded then? That's what I would worry about.
Yeah.
And we know that I think this came up last year, that black students were getting lower grades than their white equivalents, because there's like a whether it's conscious or subconscious, we expect black students to do worse when it's not. That's not true.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. It's terrible.
I didn't
that
know
came up
that.
last year. Yeah.
I was doing my finals. Sorry, Georgia. I was doing my finals last year for university, and I literally felt so unprepared for finals exams. Like, it was insane. Like I thought I was gonna flop all my exams, because I don't really have a best track record with exams, because I'm not very good at recording lots of information in a timed period. But the thing was, my teacher in genetics hadn't taught us anything. Like, half the syllabus he hadn't even taught us. Like, he'd go down for like what we were supposed to be teaching. Like, he missed out all the cardiology stuff, which would have been really useful for me. He missed out all the ADHD stuff. He missed like half the year out. And then when it came to the exam, some of the stuff got mentioned we never even got taught. And I literally had to quickly Google it. We were allowed to use books in the internet, luckily, so I quickly Googled some stuff and had to like quickly just write some stuff. And somehow I passed all my exams, but I have no idea. But no idea how I did it though, because I'd not learned half the syllabus, which was really odd. I was like really stressed, like properly stressed, like freaking out. I think I was going to fail my university degree because I hadn't been taught anything really.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I wonder if this, it is like a very bad time with COVID, and it is unfortunate that we're going through this. But I do wonder if this will give us a chance to revamp the education sector, because I know it's definitely meant. I work in one of the jobs I work in is in manufacturing, and it has meant that the manufacturing industry has had to rapidly learn how to digitize. That's not something that was overly digitized before, and it is meaning that things are having to go that way. For me, I didn't like the education system growing up. I didn't fit into it very well at all, and so for me, I feel like this could be a positive move towards creating a better way of working. My friend is currently actually living in Taiwan. He went out there to do a placement, but with COVID, he's been stuck out there for two and a bit years. But he's saying actually he would prefer to stay out there because their way of doing things is so much more better prepared for working in a COVID environment. That they social distance as part of the culture. They're used to wearing masks, getting their temperature checked when they go into places. So he's a teacher out there. So
oh wow, yeah. No, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because I think actually there's so many young people or even adults, when they look back on their education, that didn't fit into this mold that they want everyone to fit into. And if you're not an academic, and if your thing isn't sitting writing in exams, and then but everything's based on your GCSEs or your A levels, how is this fair to our children who that isn't their forte? So I think you've spot on there, Zach. I do think that this is our chance now to change the way we educate and to make a better system, perhaps, because you're right, it's not the best, and it's not one thing fits all, is it?
Absolutely. And I was going to say, Miss Caramel was laughing when we mentioned about the school thing. I don't know how your experience of secondary school.
So Georgia and I have actually known each other since lower school. That's like how long we've known each other. So we have grown up in the same schools together our whole school life, and we've experienced the same thing. I mean, luckily for us, when we were at our secondary school, they didn't make us do French. They didn't make us take like either history or geography. We did get a really good choice, and like you say, Jasmin, for people that aren't academic, sometimes school life was not the best. And I ended up doing drama and art, and they were my best grades in my GCSEs. Everything else, all the academic stuff, I was rubbish at, because it just wasn't me. And Georgia and I were again in the same in the same drama classes, and we both ended up with the same marks and coming out better people than anyone else that was just doing the normal stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Adam, Miss Caramel will know this, but I was not very good in school because I didn't fit in with the academic mold or the way that school is taught traditionally. And since then, I mean, so Miss Caramel won't know this, but my therapist says that I have ADHD. So that kind of goes to explain why in school, if someone told me to sit down and I had to sit and listen to someone for an hour without being able to do
for an
anything.
ADHD person.
It's hard for an autistic person as well.
Yeah, I would be climbing up the walls, I would be swearing, I'd be throwing stuff, I would be sent out of class, every class. And the thing is that my teachers were always like, oh, but you're quite bright. You can do very well in your exams and you're this and you're that. But I was just like, you keep making me do these things, and they make me so agitated and angry and upset because I can't sit through this and listen to this for hours at a time. Like, I need to go and move around and do stuff and actually be practical. So school definitely doesn't fit everyone's.
No, it needs a big shake up, doesn't it?
No, school didn't fit me. Like some people class me as both academics. I like sciences. didn't come like that because I'm not good at. I'm dyslexic technically, so I have problems with spelling anyway. So writing, I failed English the first time. I didn't get a C. I still haven't got a C now. I've got a D, and I think I only got a D because the teacher likes me. Sorry, but I swear my teacher liked me because I don't know how I got a D in English, but I wasn't very academic. Like the only subjects I liked at school were maths, IT, and science. So all the practical subjects I liked. But I didn't. I failed history. I failed food. I failed RE, unfortunately, of all the things I failed. I failed quite a lot of stuff.
RE.
But we had to take it at school. But the thing was, I was one of these people that didn't fit into academia, didn't fit into like sports, but was just in the middle with special needs, disabilities, and nobody really thought to like tell me stuff. Like I used to sit in classes and doodle, and I used to get told off for doodling half the time, going, "Oh, why are you doodling?" I'm like, because I'm bored and I need to get some way in somewhere of doing stuff. I know people who have ADHD and school's really hard for them, so it is. And I found out I'm autistic at university because I was wondering why I just don't do stuff as way as other people do.
A lot of teachers need kind of education in how students with neurodiversity learn and cope, because I never had a problem with kids having like fiddle toys in my classes or doodling.
Oh, I've been told off those.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it's as if it's not causing like issues in the classes like distractions or anything, then like what's the issue? I don't understand.
I've been told off by the university lecturer for having one, and I wasn't like, I was just playing. I literally had it in my hand trying to look like I'm not doing anything because I didn't want to get told off, and I still got told off to put it away because it was
At
annoying.
university. That's ridiculous. Like as an adult you should know what's best for you, so why are you being told off at university? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, I definitely think, like we've said, if we're going to take any positive from COVID, let's hope that the education system is looked at in a bit more depth and makes it more, adaptable to everyone, a bit more inclusive, as more than what it is at the moment,
and more LGBTQ plus history.
Like
so you see how I'm working it in, see how I'm introducing smooth like silk, like butter. Oh, you weren't ready for that. You weren't ready for that segue.
Oh gosh. Go on then, Georgia. Take us away.
Take us in.
I wasn't gonna. I just wanted to give you a really good segue and then just kind of sit back. But yeah, today we're talking about LGBTQ plus History Month, and the theme is mind and soul?
Body and spirit.
Mind, body, and spirit, which I think is a really nice theme for this year. And I think some of the people that have been like, they've taken a variety of sort of icons, I guess, from different sort of areas to kind of highlight that. So did you, Khadija and Pal, look up some of that stuff last night?
Of course. We did. I did like.
You were so good, Pal.
Read some. It was like 3 a.m. though, but I was like reading some.
That was way after I went to bed last night.
No wonder you didn't wake up this morning, Pal. You need to go to bed earlier.
Can't help it. The night life is my life, but in bed and my TV. But yeah, I did read some articles and stuff. I did find a interview, but I don't know where that went. I closed the tab by accident and it went. But I did read some things. But I think this session today will help me understand more about everything. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, before we kick into it, I don't know if, first of all, Zach, do you want to tell us about what you guys do at Q Space and how you guys link into LGBTQ? And just so people are watching, I have no idea about the Q Space. Tell us about what you guys do.
Sure. Well, George has just provided a really good segue, as you said, into us, because at Q Space, our mission statement is actually to improve the lives of Northampton's LGBT community in mind, body, and spirit. So it matches up with History Month very well. We've got the exact same slogan, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So that basically means that we want to make the LGBT community in Northampton and Northamptonshire feel safer, and provide spaces and help on issues that might be affecting the community there and then, or at a personal or whole community level. If you don't know what LGBT means, it's lesbian, gay, bi, trans, and then often on the end you might see queer or questioning, intersex, and asexual. But there's loads more letters after that, but we can't all fit into one acronym. So yeah, we set up because we wanted to. We were basically a small group of people, but still a small team, that we just wanted to improve the community in any which way we could. So we kicked off with a youth group, but the aim has always been to support right the way from childhood all the way through to retirement and upwards. So all ages. And we do lots of different things to support. So like I mentioned, the youth group, which is from 12 to 18, but we also do drop-ins for all ages. That's really just about creating a space where people feel safe to come and ask questions. They might have a family member who identifies as LGBT, they might do, or they might just have questions, and we're all okay with that. We also lobby for change sometimes, in like an advocacy sort of way. So, for example, if a child is in school and maybe wants additional support, either because of their own identity or maybe the identity of someone else in their life, we can do that. We can go into a school, talk with them one-on-one, or school assemblies is something we do. LGBT training to help make organizations more LGBT aware and inclusive. So organizations that we've done training with include the NHS, schools and colleges locally, that kind of thing. Does anybody have any questions about what we do?
I had a question actually. So how long has QSpace been about?
Okay, so we came together as a group of people in 2016, towards the very end, like November 2016. But we didn't really get past sort of the planning stage until a year later. So we launched our youth group in 2017 and used that as our platform to start the other areas that we wanted to work on. Our goal when we all sat down around one of our kitchen tables in 2016 was essentially the long-term dream is to create a permanent space, a physical space in town where we can host events from, have people drop in for events, a lot similar to like what you guys are doing at Community Courtyard, really.
That's really cool. I was just thinking when you were explaining about what you do and everything, that I would have loved to have that when I was in school, because I am the B in LGBT, and although it's not, I don't even know what the word is, I didn't really discover the community until I was 18, 19, and when I started going to the Boston and places like that, and that was my first kind of experience of a actual community. But there's obviously a lot of people who don't drink, or they aren't at that age where they go out to drink, or they just don't want to. So it's amazing if there's a place where people can go where they're not expected to kind of party and go really hard,
Yeah.
they can just kind of chat and meet new people. So that's amazing.
And actually, alcoholism and party culture is a massive problem in the LGBT community, because a lot of the community places we have are gay clubs or gay bars, where you are expected to drink, and so there is this big pressure if you are going to one of these places that you have to drink. So that perpetuates.
I mean, I don't think that's always the case. I mean,
no.
Yeah, like you say, it
is getting better.
It does stem. There is that stem of the community, but I think, well, I don't know, especially for me over this last lockdown, especially, that life is great with a cup of tea. like, and
I
a
agree.
coffee. And I mean, I sit on Facebook at the weekends, just chatting to my phone and to a friend on the screen that's down in Portsmouth half the time. And we just sit and have a great time. Okay, sometimes we will have a beveragino, but it's not always. And I think the idea of Q Space is great. And like, if you end up with a permanent thing, like you could like have a cafe and stuff like that, which would, like you say, although the only places that we do have are these gay bars and gay clubs. So I do agree that there does need to be more places that aren't necessarily bars and clubs. But I don't think there is a stigmatism that you have to drink if you go into one. I mean, I've been on plenty of nights out where I've been poor as anything and not drunk, and I've still had an absolutely wonderful time. I paid my entry fee, and that's all I've been able to pay. Like,
I mean, I appreciate your personal experience, but we can't deny that there is an alcoholism problem in the LGBT community. Like, that's just a statistical truth.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's, again, like two sides of it, and I think what is an important thing to remember is that for some people they don't have the strength of character necessarily, or the strength to say no to a drink if they feel like they're obligated to because they're in that space. So even if normally they wouldn't drink, like they wouldn't have a gin and tonic at home, but suddenly they're in the bar and the club and everyone's kind of going off on one, that they might be pressured into that by, like, you know, peer pressure. But at the same time, that's not to say that if you go to any of these places, you will be, you know, you will have to have a drink or be forced to. It's more like, you know, experiences that
it's
people
an
have
expectation thing, like a peer pressure thing. Yeah. It's not like nobody's there with a checkboard being like, have you had a drink?
Yeah. So Bethy has posted this question for everyone. She says, do you think there's a judgment involved in going to specifically gay bars as well? So I don't know if this means that if you're straight or if you're... I'm assuming that's what she means.
Or maybe other things that are not specifically gay.
Yeah.
We call them gay bars. A lot of gay bars are LGBT, I would say, but there is a lot of emphasis on the gay part, I'd say. But I don't know what other people think.
I think, did the question relate to saying, like, it's maybe the pressures of first going to a gay bar when you're maybe newly out or working out who you are, and the judgment from other people towards you going to the venue? Is that maybe what the question meant?
Yeah, maybe.
I think maybe if Bethy, if you're listening, if you could like clarify what you mean, and I guess we can talk about our interpretations of that question either way. So if I was looking at it from the perspective of a bisexual, she just said, I mean, if someone is LGBTQ and they aren't out, they might avoid those places, right? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is something that I experienced personally, and I think a lot of people in the community do when they don't have other LGBT friends to start with, like going to a specific venue, whether it's a nightclub or a centre or even an event or a group. It's really difficult to get your foot in the door, and actually just courage is perhaps the wrong word, but the most close word I can think of to actually step foot in that venue or that group or that space that's being labelled as an LGBT group. And I think that's why it's important that we recognise these spaces as ally spaces as well, because it gives a lot of people, maybe not always, obviously not always, because allies are very important and exist, but it gives perhaps people who are not sure where they fit under the LGBT umbrella, or perhaps aren't ready to identify or publicly out themselves in a way, a sense of belonging and a sort of a foot in the door, if you will, to that space. When I was at university, I started going to the Fresh Affair in my first couple of weeks there, and where you can sign up to all the clubs and societies. And I had this experience because I wouldn't go to the table to put my name down on the form to get like more information about the LGBT society. And I see this even at events and prides when I've gone. You can kind of see the people who are too nervous to approach the table because of that stigma and the judgment that they might feel by their friends or the people around them in that public space, to sort of build up the courage to actually visibly identify yourself as either identifying as LGBT or aligning with the politics of liberalism and LGBT.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went on a bit of a
Clearly.
rant.
No, it's interesting. I think this is the
very
quietest
interesting.
I've been in ages, because I'm just really enjoying listening to your guys' opinions. And no, it's really interesting. So please don't apologise.
Yeah, I also think it's interesting when you have, like, if people are out, but they still aren't truly sort of like expressing themselves how they truly wish they could express themselves, because of the same thing, because of the judgments. So even if you are out, you still might not necessarily be in your final form of how you wish to present and how you wish to be, if that makes any sense. I think
Do you know,
sort of at the
do you know
beginning of
why-
your journey.
Do you know why I
Yeah,
think that sometimes is, Georgia? Because I think, what wasn't necessarily for me, but I've heard it happen with friends. They've surrounded themselves with such a tight knit of friends as when they're younger, and then when they realise that their time is changing and their status is changing, they'll come out to them, but those friends will be like, well, are you still gonna hang out with us? And that's where the community kind of starts to split. And like, yes, they say that they're allies, but half of them wouldn't be caught dead going to a gay club, as we call them.
There is also kind of a wider societal expectation. I think this goes beyond LGBT experiences, because a lot of us don't express ourselves the way that might make us the most happy in our lives.
Yeah.
But and it's like, I know, Zach, in your, I hope you don't mind me saying this, in your manufacturing job, like, you're expected to have a certain haircut, for example. And as a teacher, I'm expected to look a certain way. And so there's loads of different jobs where you're expected to look and dress a certain way. And there's, I mean, I've been told I'm unprofessional because I talk with my hands. So there's loads of different, like, it might be lots of little things or larger things that are kind of suppressing us from doing things that might make us truly happy, in terms of how we express our outward selves or even our internal selves. But there are just those messages for general society. I don't think it's necessarily an LGBT thing, but there is also a pressure within the LGBT community to maybe pass as straight, or pass as a certain gender. And a lot of, I know there's a lot of gay men who, like, suppress the talking with their hands, or like are really kind of consciously paying attention to every single thing they do and how they act and body language and how they talk and all this kind of stuff to pass as straight, even if they are out as a gay person, because a lot of people will only respect you if you act a certain way, like a respectable human being. And in our society, a respectable human being is a straight one.
I guess a lot of it comes down to, it's like we're taught that we need to conform, we need to be in this certain, and actually we don't. So I guess that's, and like what you said just a minute ago, Bill, that I guess that doesn't just apply to the LGBTQ community. That's how we're taught as children, aren't we? And this goes back to education. You need to fit in this box and do X, Y, and Z to be able to, which is a problem, because that's not how it works.
Restrictions on all of us.
Yeah.
Hel, did you have a question?
No, I think like parents, they also play a big role on like people coming out. I think there's a lot of pressure, because I know some people who haven't come out because their parents are quite religious. So if they were to come out, then there would be a big problem, you know. So they're really torn between their parents and wanting to like be themselves. So I think like families also play a big role in, you know,
Hmm.
being yourself.
It's not just religion either. I mean, at the youth group, I work with plenty of kids who their parents don't accept them, and they're atheists. And my family is religious and accepts me. And it's so, like, I would agree that some people use religion as their kind of way to place restrictions on their kids and to have an excuse to be homophobic and transphobic. But at the same time, it's not just religion, because atheists are doing it as well.
Mm.
Yeah, that's very true. What advice, I guess, is the question for Miss Caramel, Bill, Zach. So if you had someone who came to you and said, look, my family's really religious, I'm scared about coming out, what advice would you give?
I think it depends on how that family experiences their religion. I think religion is a very personal thing. But I knew my family would accept me because my mum already has a gay cousin, and he brings his husband with him to all our family reunions, and we are very Catholic. And I know that there's more kind of emphasis on the love side of the religion rather than the you have to be this way and you have to follow all of these rules and you can't be this and you can't be that. The way that my family experiences our religion is that, like, God is love, we love our family, God made us this way. So I think it depends on how like what messages that family takes from the religion in particular, and maybe if they are more progressive and accepting, then we can't give a generalized answer to all kids that come from a religious family. I mean, I think if a kid came and asked me that question, I think we'd have a good long conversation about their religion and how they experience like what they want from coming out and what they think their parents would do and all this kind of stuff. But equally, there's a big thing in the LGBT community of chosen family. So that doesn't mean you have to let go of your biological family. I'm very lucky that I've managed to keep my biological family because they've come around to accepting me. But equally, my chosen family is so important to me, and I love them all like they are my family. They're my siblings, and
absolutely, Miss Caramel, did you want to say something?
I was going to say, I think going with what Bill said, it's very much obviously how people take their religion, and sometimes it is down to what the religion is. I mean, I have friends who are of different religion within the LGBTQ community, but a lot of their religions don't talk of love and caring for one another. It's more of a, you must be this, you must be a family, you must do this type thing. And there's not necessarily, well, love is love regardless of who you are type thing. And I think, like, and Bill's so right, we all have our own families that are not our biological family. They are our friends, they are our people that we meet in day-to-day life that have stuck with us, stuck by us for years and years. And yeah, it's such a, it was hard coming out for me, really was. I mean, for ages, I couldn't. I mean, Georgie, you know, I battled with it for ages at secondary school, and I just couldn't. I was out to all of my friends, but at home, it was a different story. Now, I'm not sure if my parents knew when I was younger, because I was quite flamboyant anyway.
Very flamboyant.
But it doesn't bother me. Like, we don't talk about it. It's not conversation that happens all the time. Once it happens, that's it, really. And I know that sounds bad, and we should be talking about it, but we don't. But I think it's just an understanding between us all.
And that's between you and your mum and
the rest of my family. Yeah.
Sorry, you're making me really emotional.
I mean, I don't mind. Do you mind if I ask you a quick question, Miss Caramel? I'd just be really interested to know, how did you decide that you wanted to do drag? How did you fall down that? What age were you when you thought, this is what I want to do?
So, like I say, I've been flamboyant most of my life. It really kind of started back in secondary school. I played a few female roles in musicals. So I was Edna Turnblad in Hairspray at secondary school. Georgia and I, this was one of our drama projects, and it was about genetic engineering, and we'd done this. We did this piece that we made. It was basically a pantomime, wasn't it? Really, this piece that we did, and we all played practically the opposite gender, but it was almost like dark comedy as well. It was quite funny, but it's something that I've kind of done for a few years, and then when I was at university, being able to go to the clubs and see drag queens up on stage performing, I was like, well, it's only a character. It's not that person, because I know half of those drag queens out of drag, and they're not the same person. I mean, so they are the same person because you see the character traits coming across. So it's not like a case of mistaken identity or anything like that. It is a persona, and and that's kind of how I got into it, because I thought, well, if I'm dancing and performing up on stage anyway, well, why not throw on a wig and a bit of makeup? I mean, not that I'm wearing
it.
Yeah, not that I'm wearing any makeup this morning at all.
You look so natural this morning.
So natural.
I love this natural look you're going for.
Before we came live, so me and Jasmin were just like having a little chat, we're going to do this today and everything, and then Miss Caramel turns up, looking absolutely fabulous, and me and Jasmin are just there like, do we need to go and like put on more? Do I need to get my hair all did and everything? But yeah, sorry, carry on.
But yeah, no, it really was something that I kind of fell into, and I've just grown with, really. In my teenage and adult years, it wasn't. I wouldn't have considered it like years back.
Yeah,
definitely more my teen and adult years. That's when it.
Yeah. Amazing. That's really interesting.
So do you have like a performance that you take on tour, like to different clubs, or how are you doing it before COVID and then now and then after?
I wasn't really performing. I'd done a couple of performances as Cara, but it's ironic because I work in the performance industry anyway, like I say, and the stuff that I do as Adam, which is me out of drag, kind of crosses over, because the songs that I sing in my male sets are feel-good songs that everyone knows and loves. So what's the point in trying to figure out another set of songs that everyone might not know and might not love, when I've already got something good going on already? So
absolutely. Yeah, no, amazing. No, it sounds so interesting. And I'm just going to ask Bill, before we've got about 5 minutes left, so I just want you to tell us about what you guys at the Lowdown do, just because if there's anyone watching might not have heard of you, it's just really interesting to be able to share what you guys do.
So the Lowdown is a mental health charity for young people. So we work with young people from the ages of 11 until 25. And we have different branches. So we've got the counselling service and the wellbeing service and the sexual health service. We've also got the LGBT service, which is what I do. So I run the Out There youth group. And we work with kids from 13 until their 20th birthday. So that's the youth group. At the moment, we're running drop-in sessions, so kids come actually into the Lowdown building, and we have one-to-ones with them. And sometimes we work with schools to help them kind of provide a better LGBT kind of service for their kids. We've also got the Out There Plus group, which is from 18 to 25th birthday. And they're running online as well. We've got our under 13s pen pal scheme. So we match an under 13 year old who's questioning, or they already know they're LGBT, with one of our youth group members. That's just been launched, and it's been really lovely to see the letters and the crafts and the affirmations that they've been sending each other. It's really cute. Like, it's so heartwarming. Yeah, because we were just really concerned that under 13s weren't getting support. And we do have an under 13s and parents group. So that's something that, like, I guess their parents would have to know already. But I think with this pen pal scheme, the parents don't necessarily have to think that their kid is LGBT for, like, this kid could just, I don't know, talk about it as, I want to join this pen pal scheme, rather than, I want to join this LGBT support group. So yeah, we were just really concerned that under 13s weren't getting the support that our over 13s were getting. And so we started this pen pal scheme, and it's just really sweet. And yeah, there's other things in the works that are being put on hold by lockdown. We had so much stuff ready to go last March, and it didn't, but we'll get there. It'll be fine.
This is it. I mean, we're the same at the yard. You know, you have all these plans in place of what we're going to do, and you know, the pandemic's just literally, you know, put such a fire. What's the word? No, hang on.
Dampener.
A dampener.
No.
Yeah,
a dampener in the works. Is that it?
Spanner in the works.
Spanner in the works.
Dampener on it, and
got there in the end.
You know, put dampener on it, like like the fire's there and then it gets put out, sort of thing. That's a dampener. A spanner in the works.
I mean, a spanner in the works for everyone.
And then the machine explodes because it can't handle it.
Yeah, sorry. Spanner in the works. That's what I was thinking of. Because, you know, we've all had to move programs over to online. And it's a bit like what you were saying, Zach, earlier. You know, we've all learned to do things in different ways. We've had no choice but to. But hopefully for us all, there's light at the end of the tunnel. If, you know, like Boris says, we might be able to start getting to meet some of our young people, hopefully not too far away. We're hoping that the yard's going to be open, and like, we'd love you guys perhaps to come down and join us for an actual physical tea and toast in the yard, which when they can start happening, me and Georgia will even make you toast and tea and coffee.
Honestly. And I'd also quite like to say, and I believe that Bianca actually said this in the comment section, but it might have been lost somewhere, but she said that you guys can always use our space at the yard. So if you have any projects or anything and you need a space that's sort of safe and where you can have any of your sort of sessions, then please let us know, and we'll try and sort that out for you. And also, please email us with all these amazing things that you're doing so we can put it on our social media. Bill, Zach, Miss Caramel.
Sorry, can I just say one thing? I think, Zach, did you just want to talk about the religion young person question?
I did. I just wanted to let that whether it's an individual young person who's watching and has that question, or just a wider question in general, I think safety would be my key thing first. Test the waters, but essentially put your own physical safety above everything else. And that can be very, very difficult, to deny your LGBT identity or to deny your expression, but always make sure, whether it's a young person you're supporting or the young person yourself, that your physical well-being is essentially number one, and you can gain support from outside your family or outside the people who you are physically connected to at the time, and receive support from, the great organizations out there like the Lowdown, Q Space, any other local organization or group who can help you. But also know that religion is diverse, and it's not always about pitting religions against each other. The Q Space team is made up of between 5 to 7 key members who run our team, and 50% of our team are atheists, but 50% of our team are people who have faith, whether that's Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, and so there are LGBT people out there of faith, and there are LGBT people out there who are atheists, and we can support you through these difficult discussions, such as coming out, fear of losing your family, rejection, and also homelessness, because homelessness, I think the statistic is now up to 25% of homeless young people are LGBT. So it's a bit of a sad way to finish my thing.
That is sad,
but there are groups out there who can support in all stages of the process.
Yeah, and what I'd say as well, if there's anyone watching this morning who thinks, this has hit a nerve in them, it's something that they're struggling with, the Lowdown, you've got your social media, haven't you? Like Facebook?
Yes, and if you want to get in contact with our LGBT team, the email is on our website, or I think it's just LGBTQ support at thelowdownnorthampton.co.uk. That's a bit long, so it might just be easier to go onto our website, and if you want confidential help, we can do Zoom sessions as well, so you don't have to actually come into the place and tell your parents that you're having these thoughts.
And Q Space, do you have your social media, Zach?
Yeah, we're at Q Space Northants across all social platforms, and we also welcome direct messages. We often get people who just message to say that they've just come out or in the process of coming out. So we welcome all kinds of questions to our inbox, as well as from parents, allies, anybody with a connection who just needs support.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I guess, as I end up these conversations, these tea and toasts, as always, if you're unsure, you want someone to talk to, we're always about at the Yard, and we are not experts in anything, but what we are good at is signposting you to the right local organisation that can help you. And that's why we love to have guys from the Lowdown and Q Space, because we all need to work together on these things. There's so many great things going on in Northampton, which a lot of us don't know about. So if you've watched this and still a bit unsure, you can always drop us a line at shout@communitycourtyard.org, and you can contact us on any social media, on our Facebook, our Instagram, we've got Twitch, and we've got YouTube. But just remember, there's always someone there who's going to be able to help and listen and support. So that's just really important for you all.
So Miss Caramel, how do we find you online? Where do we look? How do we find you?
I am on Instagram, just currently Instagram at the moment, at Miss Cara _Mel Latte. Couldn't think of what the handle was then. So that's at Miss Cara _Mel Latte. All one word.
Amazing.
Before you guys send me links to your stuff, and then I'll put it on our social media. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see all of your lovely faces soon, because you've all been brilliant.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.